What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the right side of the map in the blue color, playing as Set. His name is Grand Monster. His opponent today in the red color, playing as Ra. His name is Jeff. Jeff the Mighty, Jeff the Fist, Jeff the 1-0 against the mighty Oden here in this best of 3 series. Unfortunately for Jeff, he has to put that Thor in the bin for the rest of this series because you can only win one time with a god here in this tournament format. So Jeff gets his win with the Thor and now has to pick up a different god. He's decided to go with Isis, and he gets a fairly interesting matchup, and so too does Grand Monster. I reckon Grand Monster would have expected to see Oden or Loki here, which is why he's picked Set. Doing a little bit of research on his opponent, realizing he's a Norse player, going with the Set. Set's a very, very strong pick against Norse. But he gets hit with a pretty dangerous one here. Set versus Ra is incredibly hard for the Set player. Now, Set does have a ton of incredibly strong timings that he can pull against Ra. It's just that Isis, a whole bunch of timings that Set can pull against Isis. It's just that Isis has got access to monument blocking. And if the monument blocking is done correctly, then those timings, they just don't do anything. So like things like early, what are we talking about over here? My brain is not functioning anymore. So those timings just don't work because the god powers don't hit the right position. So you have to figure out a different way to hit those timings with Set, or just play macro game with Set against Isis, where by your advantage is that you can eat your animals. You can do it that way. Whereas the ISIS advantage is that they get 9 more population than you when they have their 3 town centers. So you have to balance that and make sure that you find somewhat of an advantage before the ISIS player gets huge. And that can be the thing. The other thing is you have to overcome Ancestors Eclipse, which is another big problem to overcome. So we'll see how Jeff is going here. He's eating his elephant in his base. Plenty of hunt in the base. It's going to be a very, very nice game here. We do see 2 villages early on wood for Jeff, which does give me the idea that Jeff is fairly well equipped with Isis, in that I've seen a lot of Isis players not really understanding the difference between Isis 1 town center play and Isis 2 town center play. And the big difference is simply just early wood. If you go early wood here with Isis, the reason you do this is for 1 town center all ins. And we see Jeff, he misses out on, he doesn't even have his temple. He doesn't even have his temple, so it's fine. I was going to say he was going to advance then, but he doesn't need to. He does need to get those villages to work as he's not paying attention. There he goes. So let me continue my train of thought here. If you go early wood with Isis, the reason you do this is because you want to get husbandry. You want to get, you're already going to have hunting dogs. You want to get husbandry. You're going to want to get pickaxe. You're going to want to get shaft mine. These technologies here, if you get them, delay your second town center. So there's not really much point in it. For example, if you have, say, as we see a little bit of action over here, if you have, say, 10 villages on gold and you get pickaxe, that's like you're getting 1 extra villager out onto gold. If I have, if I get my town center up 15 seconds earlier, then that pickaxe doesn't really get me in front at all, and then I'm going to fall behind once the second villager comes out. So the point in getting those upgrades early doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If you're going for a 5-second town center, you can get those technologies a little bit later and find a bigger boost to your economy. If you are going 1 town center though, you don't care that your town center is slowed because you're not getting said town center. As we see Bast coming through, 5:15 advance time, very, very standard here for Jeff. As we're also seeing our Ra player Grand Monster going for a 5-second town center. He's playing standard. This is very, very standard. Set theory here, 4:30 advance time, 2 monuments. 4:30 advance time, 0 monuments. Okay. We've got some talking to do about this one. Anyways, I'm excited to see Jeff now going for this one town center. He should throw up 2 monuments and go Scorpion Man, Priest, Siege Tower, the works, and see how that's going to go here. Either that or he's very confused about everything and he's going to be going for a town center here. He could be going for a town center here, very delayed. He could be going... There is a... this isn't it, but there is a 5-15 advance with Isis, Ra, and Set, which allows you to get fast 3 town centers. Incredibly dangerous against Set, who's got Shifting Sands. So the villagers are going to be making their way over to what looks to be these elephant here. And this is very dangerous here for Jeff. If I was in Jeff's shoes going 1 town center fast heroic here, I'd just jump onto these pigs or onto these chicken. No need to risk it against what potentially could be coming for him, especially with the hyena over here. We are seeing a town center coming up here. So this is Isis not understanding Isis in a big way, and a big learning opportunity here for everyone is the differences between small things in build orders end up becoming big things later down the track here. As Grand Monster doesn't have any upgrades, but he's already in front by a villager or 2, so he's not going to feel the upgrades which Jeff had right now are not going to be felt in the same way at all. But Jeff does have a handful of elephant over here, so he's going to be happy with said town center. But I think Grand Monster's going to be slightly more happy. So 2 villager advantage over his opponent right now. Completely fine. We'll see how it's going to go. As the elephant does get taken out, the blue crystal shard coming back in. Now, I think, and I could be wrong, I think the blue crystal shard gives a big boost to pickaxe. Gives a big boost to pickaxe. So these villagers are going to be gathering much, much faster. They have like 1 less animation than normal. So it's a big boost where that's concerned. We see granary getting dropped down here as well to prevent these villagers from doing a crazy amount of walking here. Still no husbandry through for Jeff, even after getting all that early wood, as he's going to be getting an early shaft mine here as well. Showing a little bit of a lack of knowledge there. Shaft mine, if you have shaft mine and blue crystal shard, no advantage at all. Though he will not have to get hand axe here. So hand axe, the shaft mine going to give a big boost to 0 villagers, 0 upgrades, and no boost to hand axe, and maybe a little bit of a boost to bowsaw, maybe a big boost to bowsaw actually. Not 100% sure. Anyways, onwards and upwards. Villagers pumping out here for Grand Monster, and he will be advancing very, very shortly here. Now, you can get an insanely fast heroic age here with Set if you do kind of modern Set theory in a way, which is you want to be building your animals so your villagers don't have to move too far around the map, and you get like a 7:32 town center advance time. But this one here, Grand Monster didn't build the monument, so he's not going to be able to do that. He will be eating the hyena here, his own hyena of Set, it seems, and moving over onto this elephant, living the dream where that's concerned, and then continuing along in this game. Flood of the Nile coming through for Jeff. This is another technology that's sort of fallen out of favor. It is definitely a 1 town center type of upgrade that you can get with Isis. If you go 2 town centers, it tends to get forgotten in a way because the builds don't quite have room for it in it. You want to be advancing as fast as you can, and that 135 gold doesn't really come through until maybe like the heroic edge or something, as we see Nephthys coming through now for Jeff, 9 minutes into the game. Villagers in the middle of the map now for Grand Monster, going to be throwing his Migdol up here, I'm sure. Apparently I'm wrong, and it's 0 boost to pickaxe. Apparently. Really. There you go. The more you know. That does make a lot of sense that it's a 0 boost to pickaxe, actually. Anyways, villagers on this gold here. We see prosperity coming through for Jeff. Really, 0 boost to pickaxe. Whatever. Prosperity coming through for Jeff right now makes a lot of sense. Though, how much gold is left? Plenty of gold over here. He has a very, very safe back gold mine here. And hand axe is now coming through for Jeff as well, as the Migdol stronghold is coming down. We see a siege works coming down, and plenty of animals have set here for Grand Monster as he's converted nearly all the boar on the map. Boar are a very, very strong animal of set to convert. It's probably worth it to even get feral with these to make them even more buff and tanky and strong. One of the technologies that sort of gets forgotten for Zed is feral, especially when you get all those animals. It makes, I mean, also just making like hippo of set, crocodile of set, really, really buffs up your army essentially free after you've built those monuments. You know, like you spent the resources on the monuments, but they're pretty cheap. We will be seeing these giraffe of set moving over onto this corner here. We've already got walls up here nicely positioned for Grand Monster, as we are now starting to see some chariot archers coming out here. And a very standard composition thus far for Grand Monster. He's already got himself 4 priests out. The question is, does he go for early funeral rites or just mass priest? And we see the Migdol Stronghold coming up over here. So Grand Monster's game plan here is going to be get 4 town centers, and Jeff's game plan here should be utilize his Ancestor Eclipse to get himself 3 town centers and hold against the return ancestors, or whatever you want to call it. And that's exactly what he's doing here. He's throwing up his siege works, making himself some chariot archers, a little bit behind the 8 ball right now in terms of population, with Grand Monster at 111 and Jeff at 77, as we see those units slowly moving forward here. And we do see farms coming up fairly early right now for Jeff as well. He's getting himself plow. Should be looking for his irrigation pretty fast after that, as we see this town center coming down. There's no units. There's some siege towers coming through as Grand Monster says, all right, I see what you're trying to do. I'm going to put a stop to it. Might want to actually throw down a second Migdol here. This is something that set players forget a little bit, is that their Migdols cost only 300 gold. And they are just as strong as the Isis Migdols. So there's not really a lot of point in not doing it. But we will be seeing an attempt at a 3rd town center over here for Grand Monster, as Jeff is just sitting, waiting, and going to be pushing out fairly soon. We see that second Migdol coming down now for Jeff on this position over here, maybe to eat the giraffe or something like this. And the town center going to be coming up. The Pharaoh empowering this one as the chariot archers will be picking off these boars over here. They do decide to pull back though, as the chariot archers coming forward for Grand Monster to snipe his opponents here. Lots of micro in these fights is about to happen, especially with the siege tower. The idea of the Egyptian fight is you place the siege tower in the front and then you target your opponent's chariot archers. If your chariot archers target a siege tower, they do next to no damage. So you have to be very, very careful where that is concerned. Now we do have 2 Scorpion Men, a Sphinx, a War Elephant. We'll be seeing the ancestors getting dropped here for Grand Monster, and Jeff simply going to calmly retreat back here. He does have a handful of priests himself, but an Ancestors Eclipse coming down for Jeff here is probably going to be necessary. So a nice play here from Grand Monster. Plenty of siege towers out here for Jeff as well. So this is going to be a good time to use this, as we do see the priest coming through for Grand Monster doing a lot of damage here. Not quite having funeral rites, but they will be dealing with these Ancestors Eclipse very quickly, as Jeff kind of misplaced it. You kind of want to place it at the back here before, so that the priests don't kill them as they spawn. But siege towers pushing forward. Population differential here is slightly in favor of Jeff, but Grand Monster has gotten what he wants now. Grand Monster's got his 3rd town center. It looks like he's trying to get to the next age here. There's not many siege towers left. Grand Monster pulling back slightly, throwing down another Migdol Stronghold over here as another siege tower is coming through. Grand Monster no longer building units out of this position. A 3rd Migdol coming down as well. Some mercenary cavalry coming in. Mercenary are such an incredibly strong unit to put into this situation here, to deal with like the chariot archers and things like that. But it seems at this point the Grand Monster is really on the back foot. Does he have a market down somewhere? He's moving over onto these cell here. I don't see a market anywhere. Just not spending those resources fast enough, it would seem, as the villagers push back. Grand Monster trying to micro as best as he can. The town center coming up for Jeff very, very fast, as Jeff is in a commanding position in a big way here. If he can get this town center up, he's pumping out units decently. He's got 128 or 136 population. The mercenary are flooding in here though for Grand Monster, As these don't cost population, you can't really see what's happening where that's concerned. As this Migdol stronghold still coming up, villagers getting sniped down. The war elephant not going to be enough here, though, it would seem, and Siege Tower does put a stop to this settlement from coming up here. Jeff, with plenty of gold in the bag, definitely could be utilizing a couple of merc out of his hometown center here if he so chose. Villager differentially is slightly in favor of Jeff as well, as Grand Monster just 100% on the back foot here, it would seem. As he's trying to get out as many units as he possibly can. Chariot archers getting spammed. He's got 1,000 food in the bank right now. Definitely could have been using that at this point, either on camel caravans or something like this, or maybe spearmen. All the other good stuff would be a decent idea here. As the siege tower getting its due diligence here, doing a nice job tanking the pierce damage of Jeff's army here. Now Jeff is struggling to produce because he doesn't have enough wood income here to spam out those chariot archers, but he could just be making elephants at this point. A very, very tough unit to be dealt with. Or he can think about going to the Mythic Age himself. It looks like that's what he wants to do. The priest getting pulled back here to heal up the Pharaoh. And does Jeff have a market somewhere? He's throwing it up as fast as he can over there. And we do see Grand Monster now in the middle of the map with a ton of villagers. And both players just very focused on one spot of this map here. And ooh, nice garrison micro there from Jeff, keeping his villager alive there. Almost losing it, but nice job keeping it alive. Grand Monster now has the population advantage and also going to be making his way through to the heavy chariots. We even see this Pharaoh getting away with a murder on the front line here, dealing with a Scorpion Man before it even gets any damage done. Siege Tower coming back in onto this position. Grand Monster too quick there. Going to take this down incredibly fast. And now we see Jeff going up through Osiris. So we'll see how good Jeff's Son of Osiris control is going to be here. I actually think that I would pick Thoth a lot of the times in this matchup, especially with a Migdol stronghold position like this, to get this town center back. Thoth, an incredibly strong late game tool, getting yourself Book of Thoth, getting yourself those war elephants, all the other good stuff, forces Hathor, Horus in a way, and also you don't necessarily have to go elephant, just getting the Phoenix out or something like that can also be really, really strong here. There's husbandry coming through for Jeff in the later stages of the game. Chronolations as well coming through, but it looks like Grand Monster is controlling this position nicely here. Thank you for the raiding party as well, Chrono. Hope your stream went well. Congrats on your game. Siege works here, getting taken down nicely as Grand Monster is applying pressure really well. If we take a look at the kind of current upgrades here, Grand Monster's just got standard Egyptian upgrades. So too does Jeff. He does have irrigation though, and he has his relic to boost his economy just a little bit. So we see the siege works over here getting thrown up. But right now, Jeff is just struggling population-wise. He just needs more population than he has. And Grand Monster knows this as he's pushing forward. The Pharaoh in the back is going to be a big, big help here. As Osiris comes through, he gets the free mummy through. He gets the Son of Osiris, and this is everything. How well can Jeff micro this? We see a couple of volleys coming straight in here. Or we saw the Son of Osiris attempting to get garrisoned here. Jeff not controlling this at all here as his Son of Osiris is getting absolutely totaled. Jeff trying to garrison it, and he gets it in there with just a little bit of HP. That is absolutely devastating for Jeff. This Mythic Age was everything for him here in this matchup, and now he's down to 87 population here, ladies and gentlemen. Grand Monster's getting himself copper weapons. He's got himself fortified town centers, throwing up the most matrious markets you've ever seen in the world. There's a line here to be careful of, but the most matrious market you've ever seen, ready to start his trade route. And Grand Monster can probably stick it out in this heroic age for quite some time now, because that Son of Osiris is not that big of a deal anymore. Becomes close to the chariot archers, but will get taken out. The Son of Osiris sitting way back here now, trying to get some chain lightning done. He is getting some good kills from afar though, so good positioning now from Jeff. Jeff throwing up his own matrious markets in the corner, making those caravans there, as we see a shifting sands here from Grand Monster. He doesn't, not only does he take the catapult, but he also takes the priest, and he takes the Son of Osiris. An 80 HP Son of Osiris is not very big at all, and a very smart play there from Grand Monster. He gets a lot of value out of that shifting sands, and now the pressure can continue here as the siege tower is rolling forward, and Jeff is just kind of not got the population or the production here to spam out these units to take this fight as best as he can. The villagers popping out here, going to be taking down the siege towers incredibly fast. And Jeff in a very difficult position here, as those elephants going to be dealing with those villagers quickly. Watchtower's coming up. There is crenellations through for Jeff, so the Watchtower going to deal some good damage against the elephants, as they do count as cavalry, and crenellations does give a bonus against cavalry for the Watchtowers, not for Migdal strongholds, just for the Watchtowers here, as another catapult getting taken down, and Grand Monster is continuing his march forward here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Grand Monster going for Thoth in this position. He's got plenty of favor, so he's set up to go for Thoth in a big way. He's making camel caravans? Not really just yet. Jeff losing a lot of villagers here as well. He's down to 54 villagers, 6 camel caravans, so a big advantage for Grand Monster in economy as well, as Jeff is got no gold economy right now. He's got 2,000 gold in this gold mine, but very few villagers on that one there, as the catapult gets taken down. Jeff sending villagers forward yet again, trying to deal with the war elephants, and Jeff in this position does decide to tap out. Oden gets, I would say, a little bit lucky here in this game to take this win. Jeff was in a fantastic position here to win. If he had just microed this Son of Osiris at a high level, he would have been fine. I actually think Jeff is using one-click garrison. Guys, I'm going to give you a quick lesson here in why one-click garrison is, he's not using one-click garrison. Anyways, I was going to say he's probably using one-click garrison, and something weird that happens when you're using that is when you try and garrison on the building, the game gets a little bit confused about whether you want to empower or garrison, and it's much less likely to have said confusion if you do not use that function and instead just use Alt. So Alt is the default hotkey to be allowing your unit to tell the game that you want to be garrisoning units, basically. So you hold Alt, you right click on the building, does it for you. Empowering the building, you just right click. Repairing the building, you just right click. All that stuff gets sorted out. You have no issues where that's concerned. I could be wrong about that. Maybe it was just a little bit of not paying attention at the critical moment, but a good game nonetheless from Grand Monster. Well played by Grand Monster. Unlucky to Jeff, who does have another chance here in game number 3. If you guys are enjoying these games, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.